Hey guys, so today the Swedish medium tanks were given to us, and I had been saving up, for XP, gold and everything to go straight to, I was going to go straight and just go ahead and get the tier 10 and do a review on the 8, 9, and 10. However, I decided I was going to get them and just start playing through different vehicles. And I started on the 8, and then I was like, I'll do a review on this one later. And I jumped into the 9, and I decided to stick with the 9 and go ahead and keep playing it and then grind out the 10 the old-fashioned way instead of going ahead and getting it, because after I played the 9 for a while, I realized it is most close to the tier 10 rather than the 8. I mean, all of them have the same attributes, but the 9 and the shape of the tank is the closest to the 10, and I really like how the 9 is. I'm still getting used to how they perform, but that being said, this is Lakeville, and I know I shouldn't have been going this way. I'm a medium tank, but I wanted to try out the turret armor. I wanted to try out the new suspension, and this was early on, and I hadn't got a map quite like this one to be able to poke a ridge line as effective as I would have been able to, like right here. So I decided to go over here, and I wanted to try it out, you know, and you'll see how the game ends because so did most of my team. They decided they wanted to go this way as well. Uh, so getting used to this vehicle, if you've played the Swedish tank destroyers, when you go in siege mode, you got to wait on the hydraulics to catch up to where the gun needs to be pointing and everything like that. Well, that's not so much the case with the medium tank. It's just that you need to, if you're aiming down or up, you need to let the suspension catch up to the elevation that you are trying to aim at, if it is outside of the boundaries of the normal gun depression and elevation that the tank has by manipulating the gun. So, that being said, I had thought that this tank can change its height and depth on the tracks side to side. Now, that's not the case, it's only front and backwards. I felt a little dumb after I found that out, but, I didn't know. So, if any of you are also wondering, you cannot aim over the side and it lower one side and raise the other. It's front and backwards. Also, to activate the suspension in this vehicle, all you need to be doing is going less than 20 kilometers an hour. Now, if you're going full speed, stop, it'll activate it and you can move. And as long as you don't move over 20, it'll stay activated. And you can see me doing that in this. As long as I don't get over 20, it'll never go out of the quote unquote siege mode for these vehicles. But see right there, I didn't let the hydraulics catch up and I rushed the shot. And this position right here is fairly decent for me, but our team is kind of all in the valley right now, and there's a few at the spawn, but we got to deal with the guys that are on both sides going to be coming through the town and there. So I'll get into a little bit of the specs of this. So this is going to be for the fully upgraded version of the UDES 16. This is not going to be for stock or anything else, because the stock tier 9 does not look like this. It has a different turret. This turret is a lot better, but this is, like I said, the last package you get before you get to the tier 10. So the 105 that it gets is 5.31 rounds a minute. Penetration is 234, 263, and 53 on the high explosives. Aiming time 2.2, accuracy 0.36. Turret armor is 70, 40, 20. View range at 390. Well, the gun is fairly decent. The accuracy is could be better, but to be on this kind of platform as fast as you are and versatile, or as flexible as you can be on a ridgeline, this tank is doing very well for itself. And 234, not the highest, but it's also not the lowest. So I feel like I can deal with the 234, considering that I have played much worse medium tanks at tier 9 that do not get anywhere near the benefits as this tank does, plus a decent gun. I'll take it. 390 alpha, I'll take it. Reload's slightly long, but I'm running vents, gunlane drive, and rammer. I could be running coated optics to get the view range up there, but I'm running rammer and vents and gunlane drive to help out the gun as much as it can because I'd rather have DPM. If I'm going to be aggressive in this vehicle, I'd rather have a higher DPM. So I will be able to, when I do a full in-depth review for this vehicle and the entire line, I'll be able to get more into the best DPM you can have and everything like that. This is just basically me showing off this vehicle at this current time since it's brand new. Uh, and the horsepower is 590, like I said, 21.07 horsepower per ton, moving it top forward speed of 50 kilometers an hour and top reverse at 20, which is pretty good. Could be a little bit better, but it's alright. So this is the first game. We lost, obviously, because everybody went to the valley. I took part in that. I'm not ashamed to admit it. But the next game's better than this. Reload time completely stock is 11.30 seconds. I have managed to get mine down to 9.74, which is pretty good, but I'm not done not researching. I'm not done putting all of the perks on my crew. I did not have a crew that I would have been satisfied with, so I'm still training one as well to go into it. That is in my Dragon right now. This is a tier 10 game on El Alamein. That goes better, a lot better in my opinion, and I use the suspension in a very, I guess you would call, peculiar spot. And it also, the suspension ends up making me get a kill or letting me get a kill, and I don't think the guy that I got it on expected me to be able to do it. So aim time being at 2.2 for something that has this kind of, I guess you would call it, feature is pretty good. You can get it lower, and that's what I've tried to do. And it still has that time where it wants to throw shots whichever way it decides it wants to go. But if you give it time and trust your turret armor and don't overexpose yourself, you'll be fine. The max elevation is 21 degrees and max depression is 12 degrees. And turret rotation speed is 37 degrees a second. The velocity for these rounds on this gun aren't as high as I was expecting them to be. They're only 1150, but it could be worse. Could be a lot worse. Uh, and the high explosive is only 680, so fairly slow, but it'll be all right. It's a good tank. I recommend you guys go get it if you like medium tanks. It kind of looks like a bat chat in a way. Um, but definitely plays a lot different from a bat chat in most regards. But being fast and having a pretty decent gun is a very good benefit that this thing has. So you see how I stopped right there, and then immediately the suspension was ready to go. So like I have started doing that. So before I get to the ridge, like top of the ridge, I will brake really hard, get under 20, or completely stop the tank, and then the suspension will be ready, and then I'll pull up. And if I need to make adjustments, it's going to be a lot faster than me going all the way up there, sitting there for a second, then getting the adjustment, then firing. See, like that, that's a little bit of time right there where if I was low on hit points, that could have been the time where I died. So it takes a second, takes a little bit of getting used to with the aiming and how this gun works, but it's still a good tank. So I would recommend it. These guys really can't do anything for me on the front, so they're not really much of a threat to me. The AMX right there is going to fire high explosive right into the front of my turret for some reason, but I mean, he, like I said, not much of a threat, so. And me poking up like this, keep in mind, he can only pretty much see my gun and the cheeks, the very top of the cheeks of this turret. And the cupolas are like halfway down the front of the slope. Uh, Kinda. I mean, there's one that's on the not really driver's side, but there's one, and the way the shape of this thing is, it looks like it's about halfway up one side of the slope, and then the other side's more closer to the top, and you can see it on the left side of the gun. That one's more towards the top, and on the right side, that one's more low. It's lower. So I've had people shoot into that and actually get through it. Both sides of the cupolas, I've actually had people shoot into both sides and get through on. So that's something you need to keep in mind. And if they get above you shooting down into it, it is only 70 millimeters. So they're not going to have anything overmatch you, but if something's above you, they can get through it. So these guys right here are trying to get around me. This guy, I don't know what his plan was, but I think he was trying to flank me. And I feel like that's a rather stock leopard. So he wants to get below me. He doesn't want me to be able to see him, but my suspension lets me aim all the way down there and get him. So that is another benefit that this thing has. I thought about dropping out on the thing to get him, but see, that guy also used his suspension to dip off the side and get him without having to worry about falling off, which is a very nice thing. So this game has not got that much more time left. I think I get some more shots off on some other guys, but we don't get to see the team damage like at the end. I messed up on accident. Didn't mean to do that, but I accidentally did that. So, oh, 53 TP. Completely forgot about this guy. So he shoots at me and doesn't really do anything. I didn't know if he had the top 122 or he was completely stock when he shot me just now, and I didn't want to find out because that 440 alpha gun that it gets, don't really want to have that much taken off of me. So shoot him in the side, 371, hit his ammo rack, ISMs on his side. Well, they're both on each other's sides, but they get one into each other, but he's dead. So there's 3 people left. I'm not really going to get to fight anybody else. I try to shoot at the E100, but you'll see he backs up right about the same time I fire here in a second, which would have been a pretty nice shot, I guess, but it went just high, and I bounced off his upper plate. And everybody's going to get over there before me. Like, this tank is fast, but it's not that fast. Tier 8 is faster, and the Tier 10 is just a tad slower, but you get a bigger gun, thicker armor to compensate with the Tier 10, so I'm not complaining. Now, this tank only have 390 view range. You could run coated optics and a really like high skilled crew with all of the perks that would boost that. Would increase it to some degree. I don't know how high it would actually go. I haven't done the math on that, but 390 is lower than a lot of other medium tanks. So the tier 10, I believe, is the same way as well. But I did 3,700 damage and 163,000 silver on that game, and that is the 2 games. So I accidentally came back to the garage, but you have to look at the UDES 16 a little bit. Very interesting tank. We'll be doing a more in-depth review, and so will I for the tier 10 and tier 8. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see y'all later.